Hey everyone, what is up? I'm here today to do something a tiny bit different than usual. So, as you can see here, I have a cup of coffee. I don't have a pair of shoes. Shocker, I know. But because it's the holidays and I have a lot going on right now, if I'm being completely honest, I've been doing a ton of traveling and I'm getting ready to fly a red eye home to Michigan arriving on Christmas Day, so it's been a little crazy. And because of that, I wanted to do a video this week, not reviewing a new pair of shoes, but just doing a little coffee chat. As you can see, I've got my Midwest Oak mug in honor of myself going back to Michigan here soon. So let's chat and let's get into it. I just wanted to give some updates and just kind of chat about just my running thus far in the past few months, because it's been quite a journey and it's been so much fun, and I wanted to share with you some accomplishments that I'm very proud of and then some disappointments, because we all have those. So the first thing I wanted to share is, if you have been following me since my kind of start a few months ago, one of the first shoes I reviewed was the Hoka Rocket X3. Now, I have been loving those shoes. Those have been a fantastic shoe for racing and then doing some long runs. I highly recommend. If you're looking to get into something with a plate, but you're not really sure where to start, that is probably one of my favorite plated shoes I've run in. And it's kind of more of an introductory plated shoe, which I know sounds a little crazy, but I think it's because it really does not put a lot of strain on your body. Your feet, your joints, none of that. My legs end up feeling pretty refreshed after the run for the most part, and they really do an awesome job of propelling you forward. It's not too rigid and stiff. It's like the Goldilocks perfect shoe, in my opinion. Highly recommend trying those out. I am so curious of if they are doing a Rocket X4 in 2026 as we're approaching the end of the year. I'm kind of keeping an eye out on new shoes, and I don't know how they can make it better, but they may. But hopefully they don't make it worse, because I hear that time and time again of people being so disappointed in the next iteration of a shoe. So I definitely hope that it's only going to go up and up and up from here. Otherwise, I'm going to have to stock up on the Rocket X3. So the Rocket X3, I actually did just run a half marathon about 6 weeks ago. I did Santa Barbara half marathon, and I was so excited to do that half marathon. My last half marathon I did was in July. But that one was like a funny situation where I spontaneously signed up for it. I think I did pretty well overall. I didn't really do training. Now, I run consistently, so I'm always in shape for running, but I wasn't doing any kind of training plan for a half marathon. Yes, I know it's not that smart to do that, but it all went fine. I've been running for long enough that it's really not an issue for me. It's not like I'm gonna go PRing out of the gate in those instances, but needless to say, pretty pumped about the Santa Barbara one, because I was really working hard and I had such a high goal of setting a PR. Before I get into kind of how that went for me, I do want to start off by saying that it is okay to have a run be not what you expected, okay? What I mean by that is, a lot of us have goals going into races. We want a PR, we want to hit certain milestones, and those are amazing things to shoot for. But it's also okay to accept that not every run, not every race is going to lead you to those goals. Like it just won't. You can't always PR, you can't always hit certain milestones. Now, with proper training, proper diet, all of those things, you are more likely to, but things happen. We get injured on runs. We fatigue, something can go wrong. The weather may not be in our favor. Now, I've heard that time and time again. There was a full marathon. Well, I guess there was a full and a half marathon. I think it was, where was it? Was it Berlin? Sort of recently. I think it may have been Berlin. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the weather was quite a bit hotter than what anyone had anticipated. And a lot of people were disappointed because leading up to it, they'd been working so hard and had their sights set on something that they were looking to accomplish. And for some people, it didn't end up panning out that way. Going to 2026, I'm trying to have a better mindset. Of course, setting a goal and wanting to PR is awesome. I think that people should continue to do that. I myself will be continuing to do that. But having a different outlook of it's okay if that doesn't happen. I will not beat myself up. I'm going to respect the fact that it didn't work out the way I had hoped, and that's normal. That's something that is so, so hard, I think, for people who have been running for a long time to accept, but it's an important thing to accept because I think when you start to hit certain goals, you start to ask yourself, what next? And from my Santa Barbara half marathon, that was one of the first things when I finished that I was thinking. I was so excited. I did PR. I finished the half marathon in an hour and 37 minutes, which brought my pace to a 7:26. I was so immensely proud of myself and I worked really hard for that. But then I started to think, gosh, I mean, that wasn't easy. I felt really actually pretty good the first half of that. And then we ran into some hills. It was a very humid day. Things were not necessarily in my favor. And then the last 3 miles were a little bit more of a struggle. But in general, I started to kind of get worried of like, did I reach my peak? Is this my full potential? Am I able to PR again? And of course, every race is going to be different, and it's not always going to be a race that's conducive to PRing, whether it's the course makeup or again, the conditions outside. But of course that's still something in the back of our heads as runners. And I was a little bit worried that like, maybe I'm not going to be able to PR again. Maybe this is it. And then I tried to shift that mindset of, okay, I don't think this is it for me. Number one, I do think I am capable of more and I can continue to train differently and push myself and do more research on how I can improve my practice. But number two, it's also okay that I can do a race and not PR. I can race and enjoy the experience, enjoy the training, enjoy the health benefits, enjoy the community, because the running community is amazing, as a lot of you may know, but not be so negative and hard on myself if I don't get those goals that I am working towards, okay? So just wanted to kind of share that little bit of a mindset shift that I myself am trying to do, and hopefully it's helpful for you to rethink maybe how you're looking at running as well. I also did this past weekend a couple races, which sounds crazy, but there was this double situation, so essentially a 15K, but it was a 10K and then a 5K separated by like a 30-minute break, give or take. I've never done a 10K race competitively, and I've never done a 5K race competitively. I've done the turkey trots, I've done like fun 5Ks years and years and years ago, but really in the past 5-6 years, I've been doing half marathons. So signed up for that kind of on a whim days before, and it was a lot of fun. I was really excited about this because I didn't have any starting point at this point. Anything I did was going to be a PR. Mind you, of course, I've done 10Ks and 5Ks in my training, but I've not really run those with any intention of hitting a certain time goal, okay? But for my 10K, I forget the time, but I did 7-minute and 9-second miles, and then for my 5K, I did 7-minute miles flat. And that was the second race too. So the fact that I improved, I was so proud of myself. It was a lot of fun, despite the fact that we got locked out of the car after the race for a little bit of time. But we ended up getting that all sorted out and we're able to get out of the cold as soon as possible. Also, I got number 1 in my age group for women. So pumped about that accomplishment because I've never won any kind of like age group division award. I've gotten top 10 in several half marathons for my age group for women, which has been awesome and so exciting, but I'm just always trying to like, I don't know, level up in some capacity if I can. I mean, there's so many amazing runners out there, so being able to even be amongst them in any capacity is just incredible. So it's an honor and a privilege really to be able to do this. And now for the bad news. So as you may know, I've talked about it in a couple of my shoe review videos. I did enter the Chicago Marathon lottery. Now, I was very well aware that it is very random. I didn't anticipate it was a for sure thing for me to get in, but that was the first time ever I've put myself out there to be interested in doing a full marathon. I have never had the desire to do a full marathon, transparently. I've loved half marathons. I find those to be really fun and they're a really huge challenge for me, but at the same time, I don't feel like my body is broken afterwards. Like I can go about my day and my week pain-free, minus a few maybe small muscle aches here and there. But with a full marathon, I know that's another beast. Like the idea of doing that half marathon twice, it's just crazy. So I figured, you know what? I'm young enough and healthy that if I don't do it now, I may look back one day and regret it if I get to a point when I'm not physically able to do this. Because of that, again, the mindset shift here, I decided to, you know what? Let's just give it a try. And now again, this is another race I've never tapped into before. So I'm looking at it with a new perspective of, okay, whatever happens, happens. I do have some personal goals here. And I really am going to be working hard for those goals. Maybe I'll share them soon, but right now I don't want to speak too much about it until I kind of get a little bit more down the road, a little closer to maybe that time of doing the full marathon. Needless to say, we just heard recently, I think it was like a week ago, that I did not make it into the Chicago Marathon lottery, unfortunately. So very disappointing, but I have decided that I'm going to do the Detroit Free Press full marathon. Really pumped about that because I've done that half marathon several times. That's been one of my favorite half marathons. It is an incredible route. You're going across the Ambassador Bridge from Detroit into Canada. You're running through Canada and then you're heading back to Detroit. You're running through the city. It is such a cool run. And I've only done it, of course, as a half marathon. So doubling that, it's high energy. There's large crowds. I think it's going to be a really good option for me for my first full marathon since Chicago didn't work out. The biggest draw to Chicago for me was, well, one, it's relatively flat. So that was going to be something that was kind of a very good, get the confidence up, if you will, for running a full marathon without being in too much duress from the hills. But the Detroit Free Press is pretty flat for the most part too. There are a couple hills when you go over the bridge and then when you go in the tunnel back to the US. Now, I've run that route for a half marathon and that was my first PR I've ever had. Well, I guess I've PR'd pretty much every half marathon when I've done that. But I mean, that was like my big accomplishment PR about a year ago when I wanted to break 8-minute miles. And it just was a lot of fun. And as long as I'm training hills and doing some strength training, I do have confidence that it won't be an issue for me regarding that element of the course. I'm excited. I'm feeling optimistic. I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. This is 10 months away. Still, we have a long way to go, not even entering in the realm of actual formal training yet. My plan, of course, in the next chunk of months is to just continue my consistent running, finding some really solid shoes that I'm going to love for my actual marathon training. And then do a couple races, do some half marathons, maybe do some smaller races to work on some different speed efforts and just really set myself up for success and taking care of myself physically, mentally, and from a diet perspective, which is very hard for me because I love sweets, I love desserts, and I really love pizza. So we'll see how that goes. I just had pizza for lunch, but I'm gonna try, especially the closer I get to the race and doing longer runs. I really have to be cognizant of what I'm eating. I know that that's a big part of it. And also working on my fueling game. I'm very interested if anyone has any kind of experience with fueling for longer runs. I am going to say something maybe controversial here, but I don't typically fuel for long runs or half marathons. I know that's probably not smart, but I do tend to have a more sensitive stomach. And a couple years ago, I would do Humas. Those were okay for me. I didn't consume them enough consistently to really know if it was going to impact me negatively or not. But I tried some different gels and I just had so many issues. And eating before runs in general, I mean, it's so hard to determine what it is that doesn't sit right with me. So it's also kind of difficult to find what time of day I should be running long runs, unless it's the morning. Because in the morning, if I'm not eating right away, just having water and kind of getting going, then I don't have any issues. I know that that's not going to be sustainable as we get into very long runs. So I would love to hear from people's experiences of what has worked for you, what you recommend. The past couple races, I will say I have had some bread in the morning, plain, and just kind of trying something new, which is not smart as well. I know you need to be trying it during training, but I really like to live on the edge here, okay? But the bread's actually been fine. I would probably continue to go that route for my like pre-run fuel, keeping it very, very simple. But during the run itself, that's where it gets a little tricky. I'm also kind of curious of hydration, of what people have found to be successful for them, because that's another thing that typically on a long run, I'm not hydrating throughout. I do my hydration leading up to the race. In the morning of, I try and drink enough water a couple hours before so I can get it out of my system before the run. But I also know on these longer runs, above 13 miles, I'm going to need to rehydrate. It's going to be pivotal, and I'm not sure my approach yet. I don't know if I'm gonna want a handheld water bottle. I'm not sure if there's something that can attach to my belt. I really don't want something that's going to be annoying or an inconvenience, but I'd rather that than have it be a mistake and have potential issues or get hurt by not doing what I should be. Well, let me know how it's gone for you guys. All right, everyone. Other than that, that's pretty much my grand update. I mean, going through some of my recent races, talking about my love for the Rocket X3s, talking about my mindset shift. I'm really looking forward to the new year. I have so many awesome shoes that you guys have recommended, but then also that I've been looking into myself that I'm ready to try as we get into 2026. So keep your eyes peeled for those reviews coming in. As always, please let me know if you have any shoes you'd like me to try out for you and give you the rundown of how those worked for me. Until next time, I think the next time you're gonna see me is in 2026. And yes, I will have another shoe review at that time. All right, everyone. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. And if not, Happy Holidays and Happy New Year. Stay safe, everyone out there. Bye.